welcome back to the She Cultivates podcast. My name is Elizabeth Savion, and thank you for joining me on another episode. Here we talk all things about cultivating your best self and community. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, leave a review. I love to hear from you guys. I love to see what's resonating. And on this month, starting this month, we are actually doing bi-weekly episodes. So what that means is that last week we did not have an episode. This week we are doing an episode, and then we won't have one next week, and then the following week we will, just to navigate between all the things between wedding planning, moving out, life planning, business. I needed to be honest with myself, and I was like, okay, like how can I continue doing this? Because I love hosting my podcast and I love having this weekly for you guys, but I also don't want to not be consistent. And so last month it was a little bit hard to do the video at my house. And so I'm like, okay, what's a reliable way to do it? And so this one is actually video as well as audio. So you can go on YouTube to check out the video portion for this episode, but just really excited to continue to make content for you guys that's valuable, that's helpful, and really to not just to post, but to actually share things that are going to resonate. And so on this week's episode, we have a very special guest. But before that, I want to invite you, if you're in Orlando local, to our podcast live event. On June 20th, we are having an in-person event here. We have a live audience, interactive, moments, as well as we have activations, vendors, we have a coffee cart, we have a whole photo booth, and just goodie bags and things for you guys to enjoy and to make the experience even better than last year. So if you went last year to the event, if you went the year before, this one is very different and very intentional with focusing on community, confidence, and cultivating your best self as a woman when it comes to mind, personal growth, and wellness. And so we are bringing in speakers that resonate with that topic and just having a very fun time as well. So very excited. I literally was going through like the event design today and like the colors and all of that. And I'm like, these are the things that I really enjoy, but it really is once you're there in person and all the connections that you make, that is so, so much better than anything else because those in-person moments of being in the room is you never know how one interaction can change your life, how one interaction can start a new friendship or a business partnership, or something that you hear is like, wow, like I needed that reminder. I needed to hear that. And then that makes you or encourages you to take the leap. And so I've been in so many amazing rooms over the past few years that I have invested in myself and have been worth every single penny that I have paid for it and all the relationships that I made because I put myself in the room. So I want to encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and come out on June 20th. And if you are a listener of this podcast, you get an exclusive discount. So make sure to check out the show notes below because you will be able to save some money on your ticket. And we're just really excited. So I can't wait to see you there. So, on this week's episode, we are talking about a very current topic that I am going through. It's about wedding planning and the process of being a bride, being in my bridal era, and just things that I have navigated through figuring out budget, changing my wedding from what it was going to be to what it is now, which we are eloping and having an intimate dinner with our closest friends and family. It was a very hard decision, but it feels right for us. And it is something that I am looking forward to, still working out certain details, when it comes to that day, but also just very excited to start my life with the person that I love. And I know that every bride is different and everybody's budgets are different, but I just wanted to bring on someone that does this all the time and that works with brides all the time and that can give you guys practical tips on if you are a 2026 bride, 2027 bride, or like a future bride that you can come back to. Because when I first was engaged, I was like looking up content about like wedding planning and I'm like, where do I go? Like, what do I do? And I just wanted to like listen to a podcast about it. And I feel like this is something that you can save for later or share with one of your friends that is in her era. So let's just get right into it. I'm very
Yes.
excited for this week's episode because I have someone that is honestly a lifesaver during the season, but also can relate to a lot of brides for 2026, 2027. And so I want to welcome Zely Salazar from Weddings by Zely. She is an event coordinator, planner, and she really is a lifesaver to a lot of brides and women in their journey of planning one of their biggest days of their life. So I just wanted to welcome you, Zely. Thank you for joining us on She Cultivates Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth.
I'm so excited that you're here to talk about this topic that I'm currently living, and you are currently walking with me through this. And when I first even got engaged, the first thing that everyone told me was you need to hire a wedding planner. If you do not, you will regret it. And that was one thing that I was like, absolutely. I don't know all the details about my wedding yet, but I know that I need a wedding planner and someone to help me along the journey because I think I've seen so many of my friends go back and, wish that they wouldn't have done that. And so I just want to hear from you, like, what does a wedding planner really do and why is it so important, would you say?
So I think a wedding planner is definitely important because we manage all the details, timelines, vendors, logistics. We problem solve everything for the couple so the couple could really focus on enjoying the experience. Imagine not having a planner, having a coordinator, and on day of, you're like concerned. When is dinner gonna get served? Where is this vendor at? You really wouldn't be able to be present at your wedding. So we take pride in being able to not only plan, but execute it on wedding day so you could really fully be present and enjoy it to the fullest and let us take care of all the logistics and the little things that you never even find out that happens on your wedding day.
I'm sure that happens a lot. And so, like, are you naturally like the person in your family that has always taken care of all the logistics? Like, are you naturally like that, that you are good at coordinating things? Or was that something that over the years you're like, hey, I'm actually good at this and I want to do this?
So I think I've always been the go-to person to problem solve stuff.
Hmm.
It's funny because for weddings, I always teach my team, hey, we are the thermostat of a wedding day. What that means is if we look stressed out, everybody's gonna stress out. So one of the compliments that I always get often is, how are you so calm? We recently had mid-wedding before it starts, an arch, just windstorm, just came out of nowhere. It was an outdoor wedding and it had weights and everything, but the arch just fell forward. Thankfully, there was no one around. But right away, I'm looking for solutions to fix it and so
Mhm.
forth. And everybody's freaking out. They're like, how are you so calm? I'm like, because if I stress out, you're gonna stress out. So
Yeah.
we're
So
not gonna do that. So
internally, you might be stressing out,
yeah.
but externally, you're like, everything's fine. Everything's great.
Yeah. So I feel I take pride when everything becomes chaos and just
Mhm.
keeping it cool and collective and just focusing on finding solutions. We'll figure out who to blame or how to fix it to
Mhm.
make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But we'll do that later. Right now, it's like we need to fix this because a wedding still needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, did you have a wedding planner or coordinator for your wedding when you got
I
married?
did. I didn't. So my wedding started 3 hours late because everything was supposed to be outdoors. We
Mhm.
fell in love with this botanical garden
Mhm.
in Lakeland, Florida, that we wanted to get married there. It was on Mirror Lake, and it started pouring on wedding day, and everything had to be moved inside. So it was chaos. I did not have a coordinator. One of my friends did jump in and try to help as much as she could. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, it would have been so much different if I had a coordinator or a planner.
Yeah, because
So
everyone's
yeah,
asking you
definitely.
and like just being
Yeah.
like, hey, what's happening? Like, and you're the one having to figure that out on like one of the biggest days of a woman's life that they're so, trying to be present and they're trying to like take it all in. So it's like that is so real that I see that with a lot of people that what they've told me of like horror stories, and so I would say
Mhm.
for you, what is something that you love seeing from like all of your brides and grooms that you're with, when you do help them on their day? Like, what's the best part about it?
For me, it's just seeing them present.
Mm,
And you still have those brides that trust you but don't fully let go because they want to have control, and that's okay. But for the most part, just seeing them like, and then at the end of the night saying, how do you do this so often?
mm, yeah.
Or just seeing them present and really enjoying each other.
Hmm.
I think that's what brings me joy, to be able to let them really be present on their wedding day and be able to enjoy their family, have that time with them, and then not worry about, when is dinner going to get served? When is this happening?
Hmm.
Or so forth, and really just fully be present. I think that's where I take the most joy in.
Yeah. When me and Danny sat down with you, like the first time I think we talked, it was like, okay, like what's important to you guys? Like what do you guys want to feel? Like what do you imagine? I think you asked like what is like the thing that you care about the most on your big day? And it was like helpful for you to know like, okay, what are the areas that you can support us in? And I think I even told you like I know I'm like hands-on, but I don't like with some things I don't want to be. And I think as someone that like does events, people can assume like, oh yeah, you can do that for your own day. And it's like, no, I actually don't want to do that on my day. So it's like you definitely are that person that you just kind of like give people peace. We currently just transitioned from having a really big wedding, a 100-person wedding, to now a very more intimate wedding. And I know that that was something that you've helped us also, like to be just like, okay, this is the direction, let's move towards that. And so you definitely have a lot of grace and like you just know how to like navigate things. Like, all right, everything's fine. This is what we're gonna do, which I love
Thank
that.
you.
I think a lot of brides though, and I can relate to this right now, it's like we get lost in like all the really cute things, the nice things to have at our wedding, like all the trends that are out there. And I just want to ask you from like all the weddings that you've helped plan and be a part of, like what is really what like the guest takeaway like from that day? Like what are the things that like we focus so much on that like at the end of the day it's like guests don't really care about. They care about this.
I would say how the wedding makes them feel. They're not going
Mm,
to remember what color napkin you had,
mhm,
what charger plate you
mhm,
picked. It's really more like how the wedding made them feel, the
mhm,
energy, the great energy they had, the meaningful moments, and then also a couple that is genuinely present.
mm.
I've seen guests where they're like, wow, why are they so stressed out?
Yeah.
So definitely, I think for the guest experience. And also, they remember the food. A
Mm,
lot of guests always brag about the food, but I think generally it's more how they felt and the experience of it.
mhm,
Not so much, what latest trend you did or what decor. It's more how they felt through it all, the
yeah.
experience.
And what would that look like to be present though at your wedding? Like when someone asks and says that, like what would that look like?
So, for example, you're not looking around like what's happening next. You're not
Hmm.
worried about, or hey, that table hasn't had food yet,
Mm,
or oh, we have to go take pictures with the photographer. Where's the
mhm.
photographer? You're not
Yeah.
running around. You're also not going, if I'm working your wedding, you're not going to the bar unless you're like, I really want to see the bar because it's cute, the decor I picked. Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from that, we're getting the drinks for you. You're
Mhm,
literally, your job is to show up, really enjoy everything that you envisioned and planned,
mhm,
and enjoyed, be able to really be present.
mhm.
And that takes from coming in and just going to get hair and makeup done.
Yeah.
Coming in and now it's photos. You're not worried about like, oh, I got to set up my welcome table. Oh, I have to put this or,
Mhm. Yeah.
when is the DJ getting here or so forth? You're really not worried about any logistics at all. You're
Mhm.
just, this is my day and I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest and I'm going to be present with my bridesmaids, my mom, my groom. So
Mhm.
that's really what it looks like being present at your wedding day.
Yeah. It's like the load off, even like mentally, like not keeping tabs of like all the other little things and just being like, all right, I let it go. I am gonna
Yeah.
trust. And I have seen that too, like with people that even like if they have a wedding coordinator, they also have their bridesmaids take on certain things. Like they'll also be a messenger to the coordinator to be like, hey, this like because they want to assist to make sure that the bride or the groom are not out there trying to do all those things, you know? So it's important to have like have a good set of vendors and team. And like, what is something that brides and grooms should spend money on though? Like, what are the areas that maybe we don't look at, but it's like they are important?
Definitely good food.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the wedding experience, like good food,
Mm-hmm.
entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and a great planner or coordinator for
Yeah.
real. Like if you want, for sure, like if you want to plan your wedding, that's great. But make sure you have a coordinator at least for your wedding day
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna make sure to bring your vision to life. But I think definitely spend more money. Food is huge. For me, hot food is a big deal at weddings. So who
Yes.
you choose as your vendors, that's important. But also the whole experience. A good DJ. I'm big on a DJ makes or break a wedding.
Yeah.
So that's also a big deal for us when helping you find the correct vendors.
Yeah, I think that for sure, even with meeting with like the recommended vendors that you had, it was like, okay, like for the DJ, he's like, that is a huge part of your experience. And also, what gets people to be on the dance floor is like you also enjoying your wedding and like being on the dance floor, that encourages people. Because like if they see that you're having fun and you're fully present, then other people feel like that energy. So we are really like the bride and the groom do have a lot of pressure that day in a certain way. Because like you do have to like, be I don't know if it's the host. What would you call like the bride and groom that day? Like I know you said you're the one that gauges like the energy of like the anxiety and all of that. And then what would we have to focus on that day?
It's really just spending. Remember, you're going to see family that you haven't seen in a long time. This
Mhm.
is your opportunity where you're going to be reunited with all those people you love, your closest friends. So I would say really just be present there at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah,
Not
engaging.
necessarily have to put up a show or anything. It's just
Hmm.
saying hi, being present, being able to be around people that you haven't seen in a long time, but yet you love, and it's celebrating you and your love.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of weddings? Like, is it the ceremony? Is it the first dance? Is it speeches? Like, what for you gets you like every time?
And the first dance,
Hmm.
um, because I feel like that's where, yes, you walk. Also, I don't know, it's hard. The ceremony when you're walking down the aisle, I'm always looking at the groom.
Yeah.
I love to see his reaction
Yes, let
when
the
the bride is
tears.
walking out. Yes, and I've been to so many weddings, but I still tear up.
Hmm.
And then also the first dance, because this is really where. Yes, some are choreographed and so forth, but this is really when you have for those couple minutes that time alone with one each other, even though there's people around you, but you really connect during your first dance. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's also one of my favorite moments as well.
Yeah, because you're seeing like them actually be like celebrating like their relationship and their moment. Like this is what we all came here for, is to see the couple, to see those moments. Yeah, they
Yes.
ceremonies always get to me, and like I feel like I'm always like doesn't matter who it is. Just like people reading their vows. And I do think sometimes people try to rush through the ceremony process, which I personally like. That's like one of the best parts because it's like that's what we're here for is like for your union. And some people are like, all right, let's just go to the party. So every couple I'm sure you see is different with that.
No, definitely. Yeah, you have those that are like, okay, make it quick because you're outside. And I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, it's only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially in
so
Florida
definitely
during
take
the
it.
summer. That's the worst. But any other
Definitely.
time, people can wait. People can be outside. I've been in a lot of outdoor weddings and it's also beautiful. Like I think just like having that like the nature part is always really nice.
Yes, definitely. No, it really is. And I really enjoy just seeing an outdoor ceremony as well.
Hmm.
Like, especially, it just looks so beautiful. And then they having reception inside or so forth.
Hmm.
They really enjoy because you make the best out of the venue as well. Like, you use all the spaces. So I think that's also great.
Yeah. And I think you're like a visionary with that. What's your favorite part though of the wedding process? Like, are you more in all the little details or more the planning of the logistics? Like, what is an area that you love?
For me, it's bringing their vision to life on wedding day.
Mm.
So yes, all the planning, bringing all the pieces together that we
Mhm.
worked on, and now on wedding day, being able to see your reaction when everything comes together as
Mhm.
the bride and groom, and it's just like, wow, this is it. A lot of times we get this exceeded my expectation,
Yeah.
or this is just what I imagined. So for me, that's definitely my favorite part, being able to bring that to life and execute it on
Mhm.
wedding day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your transformation videos that you do, like like
Oh,
the
thanks.
before on like, when you're setting up and then you show like like I think it was like this past week, one of your couples. I was like, that's so cute. Like I love how everything like came together. And they had, I think, their dog, right?
Yes.
Walk down as their ring bearer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Waffle was his name, and he was adorable. I wanted to bring him home with me. He was so
So
cute.
cute.
But yes, and he did a great job.
Oh,
He definitely walked down the aisle. He did his part. We all thought we were afraid that he was gonna run away, but he didn't. He stood
yeah.
there and he did his part.
I love that he was there the whole night. They had him.
Yes, yeah, they had him for ceremony, then he was put away. We had a dog sitter for him, which it was great. And then, but he would come out often and stuff. He was very close to the couple, so
Mhm.
he was out often.
I love
So,
that. I love that. I love how
yeah.
every like couple has their unique things, and what are things that you have seen that are very unique to weddings, like throughout your time?
So something I always encourage, right? Because we could plan your wedding from day to
Mhm.
start, I mean, from start to finish. But then I don't want someone to come in and be like, this is not them at all. We want to make
Mhm.
sure that we always encourage our couples to incorporate things that you love, things that are important to you. So this case, waffle, was
Mhm.
their dog was a big deal to them. And so we incorporated him and ring bearer. But things that I've seen is apart from pets, if the pets can be present, we've seen the pets on, they'll make like mocktails or cocktail names for the
Mhm.
bar. We've seen napkins. Um, I've also seen like traditions like jumping the broom.
Mhm.
I've seen that as well. I've seen where it's more like a Greek wedding where they'll break plates.
Oh,
That was like, okay, thankfully they have brought their own section, but I was like, how
yeah.
much is right away? I'm like thinking, how much
How
is this
much
gonna
is it?
cost? Yeah.
Yes. Adding it to budget.
Yeah, definitely. That I've also seen, I think it's bringing out their personality as well. Like I had a groom was like, Zely, I want to come in a boat and I
Oh,
need you to find me a boat. And we did. And he came, his grand entrance was in a boat,
I love it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I had another bride and groom was like, I want fireworks
Mhm.
and daytime. Like as
Mm.
soon as we kiss, I want fireworks. So we did our research and we brought someone from North Carolina and we had
Wow.
fireworks Broadway day and they loved it. So, I mean, we've seen so many things, but most importantly, I think what's something we should definitely consider, in my advice for any bride out there is always incorporate in your wedding something that's important for you guys, like I had, and it could be as a favor, it could be as just decor, or it could be something that's part of your wedding. I had a couple who met at the airport. They gave out as favors. We found for them, bottle openers that it was a shape of an airport. I mean, not an airport, of an
Like
airplane.
airplane.
And
Oh,
that's what it was.
yeah.
That was their favor.
Yeah.
And it's just something, incorporate something that's meaningful to you and represents both of you. And then if it's different cultures, bringing that culture together.
Mhm.
Like I had a Brazilian groom who really wanted dessert from Brazil. And then she was Cuban who really wanted, her mojito drink. So like bringing in, I mean, incorporating both cultures, I think it's important too. And your wedding's supposed to represent you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's a good reminder because again, like with the social media part of, getting inspo, Pinterest, like I feel like every girl in their 20s, 30s, right? They're like going through like, all right, these are the colors of the year, these are the things that I should have, but it's like we do sometimes lose like the plot of what's the point of like the wedding, process and like what's unique to you and like it doesn't have to look exactly like everybody else's. I mean, also the price is definitely not always the same. Like the Pinterest weddings might be like, yeah, way out of budget, and like most people, maybe that's not in your budget. So it's like, what would that look like? And that brings up another question that a lot of people are asking right now. It's how much does a wedding on average cost in 2026?
Oh, that's a great question. So it really averages. It also depends where you get married,
Hmm.
what venue or so forth. But I would say average from 30 to 60,000.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, 30
Yeah.
to 60,000, I think it would, but again, you also have those where you either know a friend,
Hmm.
have some type of, but yeah, average should be 30 to 60,000 if we
Yeah.
want, uh, a good
A
way.
big,
Good.
like, but it's really like the
You know, if you,
basics sometimes.
yeah, it
It's
is.
like
It
just the
is.
minimum stuff. You're like, oh, okay. Like when we started planning, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like maybe 20,000, like, okay. And then it was like, no, 25. Oh, 30. Okay,
Yeah.
35,000. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if we can like really do this, like if
Mhm.
this makes sense for us right now, and so it is a hard decision because I think a lot of couples, see like, both my sisters had very traditional, like large weddings, and so it's like trying to figure out like what works for you, which what feels like within your budget, but also like within what you want. I see a lot of like elopements that are happening, a lot of micro weddings, all of that. But those can still be pricey too, correct?
Correct. Just because you're having a micro wedding doesn't mean that it's going to be way less cheaper,
Mhm.
because it all depends too. What kind of I mean, I've done a micro wedding before where I spent 50,000, and it was only 25 people. So it
Hmm.
really depends what you're looking for. So it doesn't mean because it's smaller, it's going to be less.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it's like
yeah,
finding what's right for you in that. Yeah. And
correct.
and I think like when people are starting in the process, like again, like you're trying to focus on like, okay, all the little details, and you're trying to find the venue and all of that. But what is like the order that you recommend people to go? Like they just got engaged. What should people do next?
Well, definitely either hire a planner if you want someone to guide you through every step. The first step
Hmm.
would be a planner. Then after the planner would be a venue.
Hmm.
Because once you have your venue, then really that's when you'll have a set date. Because if you don't have a venue and you go and hire a DJ and you go and hire,
Yeah.
you don't have a date to give them yet.
Hmm.
So most important thing is your venue
Yeah.
because that's the date that they'll have available, and then you're able to hire out vendors from there. So I would say definitely that a planner if you want someone to guide you and so forth, and then finding a venue, but most of all, having an idea. I think it's important because I do have couples that are like, hey, so we're engaged, we're ready to get married, but then they don't even have an idea of a budget, It's like, well, how much? And then realistically, that's why it's important to find a planner first, because then we could really sit down and be like, okay, this is what realistic prices are out there. This is what you want, but realistically, this is what's going to really cost.
Hmm.
And then you're able to really create a budget around there of where you see yourself or what you want in the wedding. And then you could decide, okay, well, is fireworks really important or my venue really important? So you kind of can decide there with knowing now, okay, we have a budget to work out of, and then this is what we can afford to what we're looking for. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's important to bring in a planner from the beginning, so then you can have a better idea.
Yeah. And I think you gave us like a reality check too of like, hey, like these are the prices that are like realistic. Like, okay, you need to add more here. You need to lower that. Like you can find someone here. And it's also like what the bride wants, right? Because I know that you had made a lot of suggestions of like, if you want to cut here. And it's like if there's certain things that maybe someone wants to spend the big money, then that has to change in other areas, so but you can all have it all, especially if you're not trying to spend 60 to $70,000. And I think that's a part that going into it, right? Like you would hear like, yeah, weddings are expensive, but it's like really when you want all those little things or those little details that can add up, because what would you say everything, like all the prices depends on like what you want or like the vendors that you use or like the time of year? Like what plays into like all that?
I think it all varies. It has to do, for example, if you're like, hey, I want steak and
Hmm.
shrimp on my wedding, well, it's gonna cost a little
Hmm.
more than if you were to do, chicken or pasta.
Yeah.
So it really depends too. It also depends the time of year too, when
Hmm.
you have. Because Florida, so I can only speak for Florida, right? But
Hmm.
because Florida is so hot in the summer, you might get some discounts,
Yeah.
because you don't really have a lot of weddings in the summer. It's a slow season for us because of the weather. So you might get a better deal at a venue or even with the vendor because it's summer and they want to book more weddings.
Yeah.
So I think all that varies, but also the type of vendor that you also want. If you want someone that we can trust, that is, has a good reputation, that's probably not going to be as inexpensive as if you were go to Facebook Market and try to find someone. Please don't do that. Please. If you're listening right now, don't do that. Make sure you do your research on your vendors, you read their reviews, and not just this past few months review. You go back years.
Yeah.
You ask a friend, you look. It is very important, especially if you don't have a coordinator guiding you or a planner. It's very important that you hire reliable vendors,
Mhm.
because they definitely, one thing you want to make sure your vendors are licensed and insured. If they're not licensed and insured, that's definitely a red flag. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't book them.
Yeah. And you can ask them, right? Like you can be like, "Hey, can you send me like just your
Yeah.
license and certifications?" Is that kind of how you would ask that?
Yeah, it's a copy of their COI, certification of insurance.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's one of my questions. Like I had a bride that really wanted to work with this photographer.
Hmm.
And great. I mean, her work on Instagram was amazing, looks great. And the moment I asked her and I said, "Hey, are you licensed and insurance?" She's like, "No, I'm working on it." And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, unfortunately," because also, I mean, I wanted to give the girl a try at the same time, but you also have venues that you're accounted to
Hmm.
that only allowed licensed and insured vendors. So
Yeah.
it's very important to know that, because now you paid a deposit to this photographer, but now your venue does not allow her to take photos there because they're not licensed and insured. So
Yeah.
all those little details is important to know. So again, always ask, are you licensed and insured before you move forward with the contract?
Hmm.
And always ask for a contract. We see that often where vendors are like, "Oh, we don't really do contracts. Our invoice is our contract." No, no, no. I need to know, especially if
Hmm.
you're a catering team,
Hmm.
who's cleaning up.
Yeah.
Like, I need to know
All
it's
the
in your
details.
contract, like
Hmm.
all the details. This is
Yeah.
important. So
Yeah.
you definitely need a contract, you
Yeah,
know?
that's true because I think people like think like, oh yeah, like they're, they've posted on Instagram, like I know where to find them. Like I'll contact them if anything. It's like you don't know that day. Like what if things are unclear and then it's like you're back and forth, and which it would be like you, right? Like you're dealing with
Mhm.
that, but also like it's just a lot of headache for everybody else because it's like, well, we don't have that in writing. Or maybe like what was promised, it's like that's not what was delivered, so then you can go back on that contract and be like, hey, just want to say that this is what happened, so it's great to have everything in writing. 100%.
Definitely. No, definitely. You want to cover all the parts that you can, So
Yeah.
definitely get licensed and insured and contracts. That's a must.
Yeah. And I want to talk about a topic that is trending on social media, which I was very kind of surprised, but not about like a lot of people using AI, like for like photography, for videography, for just a lot of like pages that are copying other people's stuff, like to say that like, hey, yeah, I'm a photographer and I've done this for this many years and it's other people's photos, other people's videos, like, other people's design work. It's like, how do you, I guess, prevent yourself from getting looped into that, right? As social media now is like a huge resume, right, for all these vendors and everything. Like, how would you say, like, someone can make sure to not fall into the traps of like falling into these things where it's like then you can end up getting scammed or you can end up not getting what was delivered, what would you recommend in the world that we're living in right now?
Definitely schedule a video call. So when I meet with my vendors, especially if I'm working with them for the first time, it's always a video call. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know, I want to make sure we're going to be working together all day. I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure we're a good vibe from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I love your work. I see it, but we got to make sure that we're going to be able to work together. And I want to make sure you're a real person.
Yeah.
So I would say, hey, because now you can even trust a phone call, because
Mm-hmm.
you can't. So I
Yeah.
would definitely recommend a video call if
Mm-hmm.
you're able to before you book this vendor. And then especially when it comes to photo and your DJ, you want to make sure that you have a good vibe with this person because they're spending the whole day with you.
Yeah.
So you want to have that conversation with them. You want them to really understand what your vibe is. A lot of people make the mistake. They sign because you have a good price and they see that it's a good thing. But then on wedding day, they cannot stand their photographer. I see that happen often where
Mhm.
they're like, he is so annoying. Like he's not listening to me. And it's like, okay, so it's unfortunately those brides that experience that they've come to us after they've already they thought they could do it all alone. And,
Mhm.
a few months out, they're like, okay, maybe I do need a coordinator.
Mhm.
So, but again, to avoid that, make sure you're having that meeting.
Mhm.
Don't feel like, oh, they're going to get booked if I don't book them right away. No, get to know them a little bit. Have at least a 15, 20-minute conversation. Hear
Mhm.
them out. Like, why did they do what they do? And see if you could carry a conversation and vibe with them before you spent 8 hours on wedding day with someone that you're not going to be happy with having around.
Yeah, that's good advice because yeah, I think some
Mhm.
people are driven a lot of the time, right? Because you're trying to like do all these things
Mhm.
like financially, right? Like, okay, who's the cheapest or who's this? But it's like if you don't vibe with them and you don't have that, like you're going to regret picking that person because you're gonna be like, wow, like I could have gone with this person instead, but now this is the struggle that I'm having, or this
Yeah.
unnecessary stress. So that is something that's real. I know for me, like for our wedding, like I was like, okay, photographer is very important to me. DJ is very important. And like for me personally, the whole food thing wasn't, but I have come up to understand how important the food is. So I was like, okay, it's not just about getting like the cheapest food. It's like you really want to make sure that people like it and it's good food and it's hot because hot food at a
Yes.
wedding is very important. I have gone to so many weddings where the food unfortunately is cold or it's just like you're like it's questionable, and you're like, wow, like I know that they spent a lot of money on this, but then after you're like on your way home passing by like Wendy's because you're like, I'm
Yeah.
so
Because you're
you're like
like,
I
that
need
food was horrible. Yeah.
yeah. Or like sometimes it's like I think in my head it was just so bad because I have had a lot of experiences that the food isn't that good. So it's like, okay, should I get Chick-fil-A before the wedding? Like should I?
Let
But
me make a quick stop just
I
in
know.
case,
He's like, let me go get my coffee. Let me go get everything I need. But it's because like again, like there's just so many parts that we don't see on the, like at the event, that are maybe happening on the back end. And we're just like, oh wow. But it's like it's sad because I know that the bride and groom, like they spend so much time and money, so it is something that I for food, I don't like to say like, okay, just because the food was bad, like the wedding was bad. I look at other things. So. It's the
Yeah,
experience, like how you said.
definitely. Yeah. No, and food is definitely part of the experience too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So
but we're
as we're,
having hot food at your wedding for sure.
yes, no, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So as we're wrapping up, Zelly, I want to do a quick fire round questions of putting you on the hot seat because I want to know a few things from you, okay? So are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So what is one wedding trend that needs to end immediately?
Oh man. I would say the dancing in the cloud.
With the
I know
smoke.
it's unpopular. I know people love it. For those of you who don't know what that is it makes it look like it's smoke, but it's ice, and it's pretty as you're doing your first dance. But so many people have fallen right
Oh
after
no.
that because it makes the floor wet. And
Oh
I'm sorry, I know it's
no.
unpopular, but
No, I
we have
love
to
to
go
hear
with that.
this because I've actually I never thought about that. So actually, yeah, that makes the the floor moist.
Yeah.
Okay, valid. What's one unpopular wedding opinion that you have that's different than that one?
Popular. You don't need to invite everyone to your wedding.
Family included?
Yeah. Family included.
Mm,
Yes.
okay.
So one thing I tell my brides is like, if you haven't talked to them in the past 6 months to a year, they don't need to be at your wedding. You know?
Yeah. Tell that to a Latin family. That was a whole
I
discussion
don't.
in my family, and I was like, we're gonna leave this here. Love y'all,
Yeah.
but you will see the photos respectfully.
Yeah.
Because
No,
it is
it's hard.
hard. That is
It's very
that's a
hard.
very touchy topic for a lot of people, but love to hear it. What do you think social media has ruined about weddings?
Oh man. I think social media makes couples think that every wedding has to be a production
Mm,
instead of a reflection of who they really are.
yeah, like it's all for
And I think
the
it,
gram.
oh, what's trending? Oh, let's do this TikTok. Oh, wait,
Mm,
don't kiss me yet. Like I have to do that, you know? And it's like, instead of them really being present and really being like, let your wedding reflect who you are
mhm.
and don't let social media lie to you and make it feel like it has to be a production because it's not.
Yeah, so good. What friendship issues do you see come up during wedding planning or the process?
Oh man. To be honest, it's unmet expectations. So
Mm,
as a bride, you choose your maid of honor and your bridesmaids, and you have this expectation, especially for your maid of honor. It
mhm,
doesn't always happen that way where your maid of honor meets your expectations. So
mhm,
I've seen a lot of relationships break because of that. But I've also seen some relationships where a bridesmaid steps up and now, they become closer. So I've
mhm,
seen that as well. Um, I've also seen a lot of tensions between moms and brides because the mom is so excited for their daughter, but also they forget they're not the one getting married, it's their daughter.
mhm.
So I've literally had brides ask me, keep me away from my mom, and we do it very politely and nice, and the mom never finds out. But
Yeah.
I've seen those type of tensions on, and when it comes to wedding days, just
Yeah.
unmet expectations.
Yeah. And I think it definitely brings up a whole nother layer during this season, which I think no one really prepares you for until you're there. And then you're like, oh, wow, like this is what people were talking about. And it's really having like a lot of communication with people of like
Mhm.
sharing those like either disappointments, like, hey, I thought you would be there for me, and like having those hard conversations, which sometimes you can't have, or but it definitely brings up a lot of stuff. So I appreciate that because I know that you're more than just a wedding planner. You're like a therapist to people on that
Yeah,
day. I'm sure.
I don't get paid for it though, but yes, I
I
am.
yes, you're like, actually, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, nobody's gonna ruin her day today. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
exactly. What is the most like the craziest thing that you've had to navigate on a wedding day that nobody noticed?
The DJ, a DJ broke down on the way to the wedding, and he was not able to make it an hour before wedding. He finally responded and answered literally an hour before ceremony.
Hmm.
And I was able to find another DJ. Thankfully, I have great vendor friends that
Hmm.
stepped in for me. And he was able to be out there. And it wasn't just any DJ. I needed to have a Caribbean DJ. So it's very different
Hmm.
from a regular DJ.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I was able to find someone, and the bride didn't find out till after, right before we're gonna enter reception.
Hmm.
I brought him out, introduced him, and I was like, "Hey, actually, this is," and she's like, "Who is this?" But she was just so grateful
Hmm.
that she wasn't able to notice it even during ceremony. She was so present that she wasn't able to notice the hiccup, and she was grateful. But yeah, I would say that right there, putting out
Hmm.
that fire was definitely one for the books, literally an hour before ceremony starts.
Yeah, so that tells something about you that you are quick on your feet and you also have a lot of good connections.
Yes, I
I
do.
feel like if not, it would have been like starting probably like a Spotify playlist while you
Yeah.
get someone else. Because yeah, that's very stressful. So good for you.
Thank you. Thank
One
you.
of
They
the
were
last,
very grateful as well.
yeah, one of the last questions is, have you seen weddings strengthen relationships or expose cracks in them?
I think I've seen, or not, I think I've seen both. So definitely I've seen where it strengthens relationship, where now I think communication from the beginning was key and it helps like, hey, this is what my expectations are. This is what I'm looking for. And it definitely has strengthened their relationship and those being involved. And then also bride and groom too.
Mhm.
I've seen them draw closer. But
Mhm.
I've also seen cracks where the bride and groom now it's all about money and like what else is missing that they forget to date each other. You're still
Mhm.
engaged, you know? So
Yeah.
it's very important that you still have those date nights and don't talk about wedding planning at all, you know? Definitely designate those times for that because we don't want your relationship to crack. And yes, you planned this beautiful wedding, but now there's bitter between you guys because he didn't get the DJ he wanted and you didn't get the dessert you wanted. So
Mhm.
it's very important to compromise, communicate to make sure that your relationship doesn't crack. And that means not just as a couple, but even with those being involved in the wedding. And one of the hardest things I think as a couple to navigate and as a bride too is being able to ignore opinions. Everyone's going to have an opinion. You should have this, you should have that. Okay, are you paying for it? No, I am. So it's you know, so I
Yeah.
think it's important to being able to really ignore those opinions and focus on really what you want and what you can definitely envision and what you're able to do
Yeah.
for your wedding.
Yeah.
So
That's good advice. And that's something that like this past month with like the transitions of, going from like a larger wedding to a smaller wedding, it definitely brought up a lot of stress. And we were like, okay, let's go back. Like, we need to have fun. Like, why is this so stressful?
yes.
And that's we literally like decided that we're like, we're gonna have designated days that we talk about the wedding, and like there's certain weekends that it's like we're not talking about the wedding. Like, this is the task, and that's it.
Afraid of you guys.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. But it's hard because I think you get, yeah, very consumed in it, and then you're like, wait, like that's just like one day. And it's like one day and it's like the rest of your life. And it's like, how can we make sure we're good? Like we still have
Mhm.
fun. We still have date night. We still have just moments to talk about like, how are you really feeling? Like, what's going on in your life? Like, aside from the wedding. Because I feel like even right now, like all the questions that I'm getting are about the wedding. So even like friends, and I know that they mean well, but I'm also like, okay, I can't consume myself so much because then I get overwhelmed of like, okay, yeah, the wedding's good. The wedding, yeah, we're still planning the wedding. So, yes, I completely resonate with that, but that's great advice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Zely, for being a part of this conversation and really giving us like insightful tips into the industry, but also in how to navigate like your bridal era. Because I know that there are brides or soon to be brides that are listening to this podcast. And I think when I came into being engaged, I was even started looking at podcasts like how do you like wedding planning tips, like, stuff. So I was like, okay, I want to talk about this topic because I feel like a lot of people don't. And so I started to get like researching that. So I hope that this is helpful and I know that this will be helpful for listeners. As we wrap up, any last minute advice or tips or anything that you want to leave with our audience today?
Thank you so much for definitely inviting me on the podcast. I'm super excited that I was able to be part of it. And for all my brides out there, just take it one day at a time. And again, just focus on really what is that you want, what is that you envision, and then let's talk. I'm here for you. I would definitely love to guide you and help you and moving forward. But most of all, definitely just focus on what is that you really want for your wedding and then take it from there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll put all her information down in the show notes. And she is my wedding planner for my October 2026 wedding. And so
Woo!
I'm very excited for that. And I will take you guys along the journey. But I really am thankful for you, Zelly, because really, like, without people like you that really take on that full responsibility of coordinating, like problem solving, therapist, all in that day. They are definitely blessed to have you, and I'm really excited to work with you.
Thank you so much. The honor's all mine.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning into this week's podcast episode. If this has been insightful or you enjoy this episode, make sure to share it at She Cultivates ORL, also at Zelly. We'll put all her information down below, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this episode and what you resonate with or what things you would love to hear more about in this wedding era. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.